The diplomatic chamber smelled like burnt ozone, and regret.I, Commander Vex'thalan of the Concordat Fleet, stood frozen as the human delegation walked through our reinforced airlock. 7 cycles of careful preparation. 14 security protocols. A 300-page briefing document on human customs and dietary requirements. All of it completely useless, because the humans had brought something with them that made every sensor in the room scream warnings. Greetings. The human ambassador, a female named Director Colony Torres, smiled with far too many teeth showing. Thank you for hosting us aboard the Celestial Harmony. Behind her, a massive creature padded into the room on 4 legs. Its fur was mottled orange and black, rippling over muscles that could probably tear through our hull plating. The thing's head came up to the human's waists. Its eyes, golden and calculating, swept across our delegation like targeting lasers. My second in command, Pilot Officer Crix, made a sound that roughly translated to, "Oh no, oh no, oh no," in 17 languages simultaneously. That, I managed, my vocal sacs trembling, is your apex predator. From Earth. The one that hunts in ambush and can generate enough bite force to crush bone. Oh. One of the human scientists, a gangly male called Dr. Marcus Webb, laughed. Actually laughed. You mean Butterscotch? Yeah, she's a Bengal tiger. Gorgeous, isn't she? Butterscotch. They had named their killing machine after a sweet confection. The tiger yawned, displaying fangs longer than my primary manipulator digits. My entire security team simultaneously reached for weapons they weren't allowed to carry in diplomatic settings. Why? I asked very carefully. Did you bring an apex carnivore to a first contact situation? Director Torres looked genuinely confused. You said to bring our cultural attaché. Butterscotch is part of our wildlife conservation program. We thought it would be educational. Educational. Right? The same way a supernova is educational, the tiger took 3 steps forward. Every Concordat officer in the room took 3 steps back. Our movements were so synchronized, we might as well have been performing a traditional retreat dance. She's very friendly, another human offered. This one, Junior Specialist Emma Okonkwo, actually reached down and scratched behind the predator's ears. The tiger made a sound like a malfunctioning engine, a deep rumbling that vibrated through the deck plates. That noise. Crix squeaked. Is it preparing to attack? What? No, she's purring. It means she's happy. Their death machine expressed joy through sounds that resembled mechanical failure. Of course it did. I tried to regain some semblance of authority. Perhaps we should proceed to the conference room and secure your, Butterscotch in a containment field. Oh, she'll just come with us, Dr. Webb said cheerfully. She gets anxious when separated from her handlers. Last time we tried that, she tore through 3 inches of titanium alloy. Wonderful. Fantastic. My career was going to end, because a human emotional support predator had separation anxiety. We began the slow, painful walk to the conference chamber. The humans strolled casually. Butterscotch prowled beside them. My entire delegation moved like we were navigating a minefield made of fragile eggs suspended over a pit of acid, and then, because the universe apparently had a grudge against me specifically, Junior Specialist Okonkwo paused next to one of my security officers, a young recruit named Vex'thalan, who still had their juvenile crest feathers. Hey, Emma said with what I'm sure she thought was a friendly tone. Would you like to pet her? The silence that followed could have suffocated stars. Vex'thalan's crest feathers stood completely vertical, a fear response so extreme, I briefly worried they might molt right there on the deck. Their eyes, all 4 of them, widened to maximum aperture. Pet, Vex'thalan whispered. The apex carnivore. Sure. She loves meeting new people. Well, new beings. Whatever. Emma gestured encouragingly. Just hold out your hand, let her sniff it, then scratch under her chin. She goes crazy for chin scratches. This was it. This was how interstellar diplomacy died. Not through war or plague or cosmic catastrophe, but through humans casually offering other species the opportunity to touch their predators. I must advise against this action, I said, trying to channel every ounce of command authority I possessed. Our biology is fundamentally different from yours. What if the creature interprets the gesture as threatening? What if it mistakes Officer Vex'thalan for prey? Director Torres waved dismissively. Butterscotch has been around hundreds of species. She's a professional. Went through 12 months of training specifically for diplomatic missions. They trained their predators for diplomacy. The humans trained their predators for diplomacy. I was going to need so much therapy after this assignment. Vex'thalan, bless their naive little heart, was actually considering it. I could see the calculation happening behind their eyes. The desire to prove bravery warring with the very sensible instinct to run screaming. It is safe, they asked, voice barely above a whisper. Totally safe, Dr. Webb confirmed. Unless you're made of raw meat and smell delicious. You don't smell delicious, do you? Was he joking? Were humans capable of humor at a time like this? His facial expression gave away nothing. Butterscotch chose that moment to sit down and start grooming one massive paw with a tongue that looked like sandpaper made from nightmares. The casual nature of the gesture somehow made everything worse. Vex'thalan stepped forward. One trembling hand extended. I prepared to call for medical assistance and possibly start drafting my resignation. The tiger's head swung toward them. Those golden eyes locked on. Time stretched like overcooked protein strands, and then Butterscotch leaned forward and pressed her enormous head directly into Vex'thalan's palm. The rumbling purr intensified. Vex'thalan's expression cycled through terror, confusion, and something that might have been wonder. Oh, they breathed. Oh, the texture is so soft. And the vibrations. Emma beamed. Right? Tigers have the best purrs. It's like a massage for your nervous system. My nervous system did not feel massaged. My nervous system felt like it had been through a garbage compactor, but Vex'thalan was smiling now, actually stroking the tiger's head with more confidence. Other members of my crew were watching with fascination instead of horror. One even had a recording device out. Director Torres caught my expression and stepped closer, lowering her voice. Commander Vex'thalan, I apologize if this caused distress. On Earth, bringing animals to diplomatic functions is considered a sign of trust and openness. Butterscotch is here because she represents our commitment to coexistence. We protect what was once feared. We find common ground with the dangerous and wild. She paused, watching as Dr. Webb now had 3 of my officers cautiously touching various parts of the tiger, who sprawled on her back like an oversized house pet. We thought, Torres continued, that if you could see us interact with our own apex predators with such ease, you might trust that we can coexist peacefully with any species in the galaxy. Even the ones that scare us. I stood there processing this logic. It was insane. It was terrifying. It was the most human thing I'd ever heard, and somehow, watching Butterscotch playfully bat at Crix's sensory tendrils with her massive paws, claws carefully retracted, I understood, humans didn't bring their apex carnivore as a weapon. They brought her as a bridge. We were all so very doomed. The conference chamber had been designed for dignified diplomatic discourse. Elegant seating pods. Holographic displays for data sharing. Atmospheric controls calibrated for 17 different species comfort zones. Nobody had designed it for a 500-pound tiger to claim the center of the room as her personal napping territory. Butterscotch lay sprawled across what was supposed to be neutral ground, belly up, paws in the air. Around her, like some bizarre religious gathering, half my crew sat in a semicircle, just watching her breathe. Vex'thalan had moved beyond fear into what I could only describe as obsessive fascination, narrating every twitch of the tiger's whiskers into their personal log. Remarkable, they murmured. The ear movement suggests auditory processing even during rest state. 17 muscles dedicated solely to directional hearing. Meanwhile, I was trying to conduct actual diplomacy. So, I said, pulling up the trade agreement documents on the central display. Regarding the mineral rights to the Theta Corridor asteroids. Director Torres nodded professionally. We're prepared to offer a 60-40 split, with Concordat interests taking the larger share in exchange for navigation data through the sector. Dr. Webb added, we've also compiled 300 terabytes of biological research data we're willing to share. Full genetic databases, medical breakthroughs, agricultural innovations. This was going suspiciously well. Too well. I kept waiting for the other boot to drop, or whatever the human expression was. That's when Junior Specialist Okonkwo, who'd been typing notes on a tablet, suddenly gasped. Oh no. Those 2 words. Spoken in that particular tone. Every species in the galaxy knows that tone. It's the universal sound of impending disaster. Oh no, what? I asked, feeling my throat sacs deflate. Emma looked up, face pale. Butterscotch's feeding time was supposed to be 30 minutes ago. I got so distracted by the treaty discussions, I forgot to prep her meal. Silence crashed through the chamber like a collapsing star. How, I said very slowly, hungry is she? As if responding to her name, Butterscotch rolled upright in one fluid motion. Those golden eyes snapped open. Her gaze swept the room with sudden, intense focus. The purring had stopped. My crew scattered like startled prey, which, in retrospect, was exactly the wrong instinct to trigger around a hunting predator. Butterscotch's head swiveled, tracking the movement. Her muscles coiled. Everyone freeze. Dr. Webb barked, his jovial demeanor vanishing into something sharp and commanding. Do not run. Do not make sudden movements. She's not hunting, she's just alert. We all froze. Even Pilot Officer Crix, who'd been halfway through the door, stopped mid-escape attempt. Butterscotch stood, stretched with agonizing slowness, then padded directly toward me specifically. Why me? Why was it always me? Her massive head came level with my torso. I could feel her breath, hot and carrying the scent of previous meals I didn't want to contemplate. Up close, I could count every whisker, see the tiny scars on her muzzle, notice how her pupils dilated and contracted as she examined me. She's just investigating, Emma said softly, though I noticed she'd moved closer, hand hovering near a device on her belt. Tigers are curious. You're probably the most interesting thing in the room right now, because you're trying so hard not to be interesting. Sound advice. Truly. But my biology had different ideas. My scent glands were probably broadcasting pure terror across 14 chemical wavelengths. Butterscotch's nose touched my ceremonial chest plate. She sniffed. Once. Twice. Then she sneezed, a violent blast of air that rattled my uniform badges, and then, because the universe enjoyed tormenting me, she started licking my hand. The sensation was indescribable. Her tongue felt like biological sandpaper made from crystallized pain. Each stroke probably removed a layer of skin cells. But the gesture itself, the meaning behind it according to human body language databases I'd frantically studied, was affectionate. The tiger was grooming me. Oh, Emma cooed. She likes you, Commander. That's actually a huge compliment. Tigers don't groom just anyone. Thrilled, I managed through clenched teeth. Absolutely thrilled. Director Torres cleared her throat, fighting a smile. Perhaps we should pause for feeding time. Emma, take Butterscotch to the cargo bay. We converted Space 12 into a temporary habitat. Emma nodded, produced what looked like a small piece of dried meat from her pocket, and waved it enticingly. Come on, girl. Dinner time. Butterscotch's attention shifted instantly. She bounded after Emma like gravity had temporarily stopped applying to her massive frame, leaving the rest of us in stunned silence. Once the door sealed behind them, everyone simultaneously exhaled. Your people, Crick said, reforming the words 3 times before getting them out correctly, are absolutely insane. Dr. Webb laughed, that same easy sound that suggested he found our terror amusing. Look, I get it. Butterscotch is intimidating. But that's kind of the point. Back on Earth, tigers were nearly extinct. Hunted, habitats destroyed, down to maybe 3,000 individuals across the entire planet. He pulled up a holographic image. A tiger in a cage, ribs showing, eyes dull. We did that. Humans did that to one of our world's most magnificent predators. And when we finally realized what we'd lost, we changed everything. Massive conservation efforts. Habitat restoration. Breeding programs. Now there are over 40,000 tigers living wild, and another 10,000 in sanctuaries. The image shifted, showing tigers swimming through rivers, climbing trees, playing with cubs. We bring Butterscotch to diplomatic meetings, because she represents our biggest shame and our greatest hope. We almost destroyed something irreplaceable through ignorance and greed. But we learned. We adapted. We chose coexistence over domination. Director Torres took over, her expression serious. Commander Vex'thalan, the Concordat sees humans as dangerous. Aggressive. Unpredictable. And you're not entirely wrong. But we're also protective, adaptive, and deeply committed to preserving life. Even life that scares us. Especially life that scares us. I looked around the chamber. My crew members were nodding slowly, processing this. Even Vex'thalan seemed thoughtful rather than terrified. So this whole display, I said carefully, bringing an apex predator, watching our reactions, demonstrating your control and care. This was a test. No, Torres said firmly. It was a demonstration. Of who we are when we're at our best. When we choose compassion over convenience. When we protect instead of exploit. Dr. Webb added, plus, Butterscotch really is a great icebreaker once you get past the whole giant death kitty thing. The door chimed. Emma returned, Butterscotch padding beside her looking significantly more relaxed and well-fed. The tiger immediately returned to her spot in the center of the room and flopped down, resuming her ridiculous belly-up position. All good, Emma reported. 50 pounds of synthesized protein. She's happy. 50 pounds. In one meal. I tried not to think about that too hard. We returned to the treaty negotiations. And something strange happened. With Butterscotch snoring softly in the background, the tension that usually accompanied first contact diplomacy had evaporated. We argued over terms, yes. Debated resource allocations and technology exchanges. But the fear was gone, because if humans could turn their relationship with apex predators from extinction to partnership, maybe they really could be trusted as allies. As the session concluded, Director Torres stood and extended her hand in the human gesture of agreement. I grasped it, noting how her grip was firm but not crushing. Respectful of strength without needing to prove it. One question, I said. Why name her Butterscotch? Of all possible names for something so formidable. Torres grinned. Because when she was a cub, her fur color reminded the sanctuary keeper of butterscotch candy. Sweet, warm, a little bit golden. And we thought it was important that people see her as something precious to protect, not just something to fear. As the human delegation prepared to depart, Thiptolar approached hesitantly. Junior Specialist Orconquo. May I pet her one more time? Emma beamed. Of course. I watched my officer kneel beside a creature that could end them in seconds, running gentle hands through striped fur, while the tiger purred like malfunctioning machinery and looked utterly content. Later, after the humans had departed and the ship returned to normal operations, Crix approached my station. Commander, I've been reviewing the cultural database. Do you know what else humans do with their apex predators? What? I asked, almost afraid of the answer. Some of them keep smaller versions as companions in their homes. They call them house cats. Apparently, they're just as predatory, but scaled down. Humans voluntarily share their living spaces with tiny hunters. I stared at the view screen showing the human vessel departing, carrying their tiger, their impossible idealism, and their insane courage. Crix? Yes, Commander. Approve the treaty. All terms. And send a request to Earth. What kind of request? I smiled, feeling my throat sacs inflate with something that might have been hope. Ask if they have any of those house cats available for cultural exchange. If we're going to partner with humans, we might as well understand why they think coexisting with predators is normal. Crix made that sound again. The 17-language version of oh no. But this time, it sounded a lot like oh yes.